All right, I know this isn't Padres, but it is the Padres' flagship station, and one of their shows is now off the air, and it happened pretty quickly. I was listening to their show yesterday, actually, and Annie and Elsten, as you can see here from this Blue Sky tweet or whatever they call it over there on Blue Sky, Craig Elsten announced Annie and Elsten's show from January 4th, 2024 to March 5th, 2025. It is over. We were just informed that as part of a massive wave of Audacy layoffs, our show is hereby over. I want to thank the company and Adam Klug for the opportunity we were given. And that tweet was put out at, I think that's Eastern time, so I assume 8:36 a.m. Pacific time. Yeah, that's nuts, and it sucks. I can read here from Barrett Media; they do a great job covering this. They write, Audacy has begun another significant round of layoffs. The company continues to restructure following the resignation of CEO David Field in January and CFO Rich Smaling last month. Radio's second largest group with over 230 broadcasting brands and a listed 165 million monthly broadcast listeners is making cuts less than 6 months removed from emerging from Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And then it went through a bunch of these hosts that are announcing that they were part of these layoffs. And Annie and Elsten, I don't know about Braden Suprenant. He was the producer, the third guy on that show. Don't know about him, but the show is over. And it lasted a little over a year. And it sucks. Like, I don't care if you were a fan of Coach Quintero more or if you liked Annie and Elsten more. It just sucks that this is happening. That the Padres flagship radio station can't have a midday show to talk about the Padres and other San Diego sports. Annie Heilbrunn was not just let go from Audacy now, but she didn't make it over to the Padres TV side when that whole thing happened with Valley Sports. They lessened the amount of people there. They made the pregame show on the field, right? They didn't put it where the Valley Sports pregame show desk usually is by Gaglione Bros at Petco down the third baseline. And then Annie didn't make it. They just went with Scan and Mike Pomerantz. And so then I was super happy for her when she was able to get that gig with 97.3. And I was happy for Craig. I didn't, it just sucks that, Coach Quintero lost his job and obviously his passion, something that he'd been doing for a while, but they went in a different direction. And I was excited for those two. And Braden got to, stay on. And what I liked about Annie and Elsten were they were making an effort to talk about other things other than just the Padres. They would have those weekly San Diego FC, segments and kind of to learn the game for those that were just trying to get into it. So I like that. They would have different guests on. And I thought it was I'll admit I wasn't like tuned into every show and every hour of the show, but when I tuned in, it was pretty enjoyable. And I've had Craig Elsten on this show. Hopefully I can get Annie on someday. But I love Craig. He's great. And it just sucks that this is what is happening. I feel like I know sort of why it's happening. And this isn't, I'm pretty sure this is not an Adam Klug 97.3 The Fan thing. He did not, there's no way that going into baseball season, him and the station themselves said, we don't want this anymore. No, that's above them. So don't go at the station for this. That's not their fault. This is Audacy. And what it seems like is there are so many this podcast YouTube show, I'm not on the radio, but I have an audience and I have as much as I don't look at subscribers very much, but before this recording I did just because I wanted to kind of prove this point. And I'm at 8,000 or something, I think. I know I have thousands. And so there's an audience there and there's hundreds of comments on some of these videos. And so this is just one channel. And then there's other channels as well. I know John and Jim, they have their radio show on San Diego Sports 760, but then they have the wrap-up show as well. And so there's just different podcasts, different shows. And so there are advertisers that will go to those instead of the radio because they see that, oh, people are paying attention to these YouTube podcast shows, so why not go there? And they probably don't have to pay as much to be on to partner with those shows than they do being on the radio, or they just feel like more people will see that stuff there than they'll hear about it on the radio. Um, so that's part of it. I still think that in San Diego, there are plenty of people that listen to 97.3 The Fan and listen to John and Jim on San Diego Sports 760. Like, there's still an audience for it. So it just sucks that this is happening. And to have, a 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. gap on the Padres flagship station now. And what are they going to do? This morning, I wanted to listen at 10 a.m. to see what was going to happen, and it was just a replay of Ben and Woods. And so, is that what they're going to do now all year? Or is it going to be some national show and they're going to talk about the freaking NFL or something during the 10 to 2 time slot? That's not what San Diego wants. We don't want to hear about the NFL. We don't want to hear about the Lakers and LeBron James and all that. Who cares? We want to hear about San Diego. At least that's what I want. I want to hear about the Padres. I want to hear talk about the Aztecs, SDFC, the Wave. I want to hear about San Diego. And you can talk about Major League Baseball as a whole and college basketball as a whole. You get what I'm saying? But like the sports that they're in, I want to hear about that. And this is one less show to hear about that. And so it sucks. Annie and Elsten, if you're probably not, but if you're watching this or listening to this, or if someone knows them, say that you have an open invitation to come on this show anytime you want. I would enjoy talking to Annie. I enjoyed talking to Craig. Same thing with Braden Soprenet. Coach I just enjoy talking about the Padres and San Diego sports, and I like having that discussion. So open invitations to them, and it just sucks. Some people would say yeah, it's just part of the business. But especially in San Diego, I don't want it to be a part of the business, because on the Padres flagship station, it should be San Diego sports the entire day. It should be, to have the Padres coverage and all that. Like, it should be all the time. So what's it going to be now? Jim Rome again? Or whatever CBS Sports national show would be on during this time slot, which I have no idea because I don't care. So, yeah, a day that sucks for those that are like me that listen to local sports talk radio. Wish them the best. Barely over a year that show lasted. And again, this is not a 97.3 The Fan thing. This is a above them thing. This is Audacy. So it seems like Gwen and Chris are still there. Ben and Wood still there. And if they had to take one show off, they're not going to take Afternoon Drive off, and they're not going to take the morning show off. So Annie and Elsten was the one. But none of them should be taken off. It just sucks that that's what is happening here. I was about to say part of the business, and I guess it is. Just financially, Audacy making cuts, and they're probably making cuts. Not probably, they are making cuts to a lot of stations around the country, and they're going to choose the time slots where probably the least amount of people listen, and that's what happens here. And it's not to the fault of them, to Annie and Elsten and Braden. There's people that are working, and Ben and Woods has been very successful. And why would you cut that? You're not going to. Why would you cut Gwen and Chris? So yeah, wish them all the best. All the best. And hopefully I'll be able to talk to them on this show at some point. But yeah, a sad day. You can give your thoughts in the comments. But yeah, wasn't expecting this, but maybe we should have when Audacy was coming out of bankruptcy.